Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Culture Creative Podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Nicholson. And today we want to talk about theater, the significance of theater, the identity of theater, why it's so different from the movie going experience. Theater is a tradition. Theater is a bedrock of culture. Theater is a mainstay in earth culture. Theater is drama. Theater is laughs. Theater is an experience like none other. It is a way of life. It is an art form. It is a powerful tool for storytelling. Theater is the music. It is the wardrobe. It is the craft of acting. It is the event. It is a happening. It is an institution in itself. And so, what makes theater significant as a form of entertainment is not only is it something that you can go to in pretty much in any major city or an experience, but there are so many variables that we consider. There's so many variables to be considered um, from show to show. Even if you go see a show that you saw 30 years ago, it's not the same cast. Even if you see a show that you saw in Chicago 2 weeks ago, and now you see it in New York, it's not the same cast. And so, even if it's the same cast, they're not the same viewers that are there to see it. And so, every joke, every punchline, every cue, every emotional moment is different. It's a variable in which we it's different. It's a variable in the experience. And so, unlike with theater, unlike when you see a movie, um, the viewer has to invest in the experience. I know you say I paid for a movie ticket, right? I took my daughter and my son to see a movie, and it cost me $500. I know that. Okay, I know that. But I'm saying in theater, you invest in the experience that you want. So if you want a eighth row seat, you're gonna pay for it. If you want to sit in the front row and be looking up the nose of the actors, you're gonna pay for it. If you want to be in a box by yourself and experience it from that way, from every vantage point up top, um, you're going to pay for that too. And so, unlike going to a movie, um, your investment, the price you pay, determines your experience. With the movie, everybody sees the same thing, even though you may be in a different seat in the house. You still see the same presentation, the same cut, the same edit that the director wants you to see. And so, yeah, so it's different. Um, it's different. And every performance is slightly different. The actor has the power to play it a certain way in the morning, and then play it a certain way at the noon show, and then play it a certain way in the evening. He has that power. He or she has that power to really make it their own. And even if it's a role that is cut out, even if it's a role that's iconic that has been played for a couple hundred years, the actor has the power to portray it in the way that they want to. And so it's very significant. It's very significant. It's one of those things that is a tradition, certainly here in America. and in the Western world. And it's an event. You especially for the evening shows, you dress up, you go. That's half of the experience for me. It's a happening. It's something that really is an event worth going to, because you engage in the process. The laughs that you give, and the heckles that may happen even in even in the gallery and in the theater. Um, and so it's a unique experience. Every performance is slightly different. Going becomes an experience. The intermission, and even with that, it's not like you're watching a movie at home and you can pause it and come back to your space. It's like, no, if you have to use the restroom, if you have a an important call that you have to get, you have to choose which part you have to step out on. You have to choose. If you can't make it to intermission, you have to choose which part that you're going to miss, because it's live. There's no do-overs. There's no pause button. There's no no way that you can see what you have missed. And so it is certainly an experience. And the musical aspect of it. I mean, you have big shows that have orchestras. You have smaller shows that may have bands that are a part, when it comes like a rhythm section and whatnot. But it is, that's just as important as the acting. That's just as important as the wardrobe. That's just as important as the lighting, the musical aspect of it, especially if it's a musical stage play that has musical numbers. That's just as significant. I love nowadays. I have a playlist on Spotify, and it's themes in theaters, themes and theater songs, and I love recreating those moments of when I went to go see a show. And so the musical aspect is just as important as the acting aspect. And so the thing about live theater is that anything can happen. If the curtain closes too early, if the lights go out, you have to be able to control the atmosphere. You have to be able to control the crowd. You have to be able to read the room. If you're not getting the responses that you want, you can be able to switch this part, and you that part will kill because you missed your laugh in the beginning. And so it's so many variables, so many intricacies to this craft that it makes it a whole different animal from movie making. I remember I saw a interview of Denzel Washington recently, and he was saying that Hollywood didn't make him. That movie acting didn't make him. The stage did. And so with him being able to use those stage-like elements, you're working for 3 hours. You're not. It's not like you're doing a 20-minute scene and then going back to your trailer for the rest of the day. You're working. You are on. You are in that element. You're in that mode. You are in. You're in that space for 2 to 3 times a day. 4 to 5, 4 to 6 times a week. I mean, it really is something that is unique unto itself, and any actor would tell you that it's completely different from making a movie. And so, the crowd's reaction is a very unique aspect. Sometimes you have a crowd who is just ready to cry, ready to show emotion, ready to be moved and swayed. And sometimes you have a crowd that has minimal reaction. But you have to read the room. You have to adapt. You have to call audibles. You have to change plays. You have to be able to really respond. It's almost like a call and response rhythm. You have to, if you don't have to get that reaction that you're looking for, you have to adjust. And so the collaboration aspect of it, the crew. The you have your stage hands and your prop crew. You have your wardrobe. You have your lighting crew. You have your music crew, your audio crew. There's so many layers, so many layers that have to be locked in and working together to put on a masterful play. And even with that, this art form has the power to be unplugged. Have you ever been to like a camp or like an outdoor amphitheater where they're putting on a play? Um, it's a different experience from the lights on and it's time to perform type of thing. It's a different experience, but it is still one worth having. Because that in and of itself is a different experience because the actors have to project, because you have to account for those things that can't be controlled within a closed space. And so, if an airplane flies overhead, or if it starts raining, or in any number of those things, it gets cloudy, you have to be able to adjust to those conditions, and it's still a live situation. You know, and so I started. I can't remember the first play that I went to, but I know that so in my city that I grew up in, Gary, Indiana, we had what's called the West Side Theater Guild. And I can remember the first play I kind of really took notice of. I can't remember if that's the first play. I'm pretty sure I saw a church play before I saw this. But it was the story of Jackie Wilson, and it was a musical there at West Side High School when I was in elementary school. And I can just remember the music. I can remember the way that all the children uh, began to scream as they cut off the lights before it started. That was like a thing there at the West Side Theater Guild. And it's really, it's just a feeling that you get seeing this, experiencing this. And I was able to experience this before cell phones. And so it wasn't like, oh, let me record this so I can listen to it later, let me record this so I can show it, let me record this so I can post it. It was like, no, you're in the element. You are in the moment. You have to create and forge memories, and take it all in, and be able to you know recall what you saw. And so it's, you know even with having online versions of these plays, Hamilton is a great example. Hamilton is on Disney Plus, right? But I remember we went to go see it. Um, my wife and I, we went through with Indiana University Northwest, and we went to go see it at Broadway on Chicago. And it was so great. It was so great. That Chicago cast, King George was played. I forget the young man's name, but it was a young black man that played King George, and it was so inspiring. It was so breathtaking. It was so just to be in that environment, just to be to watch it and to hear about it for years and actually see it. I'm so glad I saw it in person before I saw it on TV. Nothing beats, nothing can substitute a good play or musical. Not only is it like time traveling when it's a show, when it's a period piece, or when it's a show that's been done for a long time, for decades and decades, it is a blast from the past. It is a piece of nostalgia. It is an experience worth having. So when it comes to entertainment, theater is a different animal. Theater is riveting. Theater is memorable. You have to um, be able to, separate yourself from the outside world, and go into that experience, and really let your imagination open up to see what's in between those curtains. It is an experience like none other. Yeah, yeah. Until next time. Until next time. Until next time. I'll see you.